We back, episode 2, Wisco edition. We had applied for some Wisconsin tags for the season F, 6 of them. So if everything works out, we're gonna have a pile by the end of the trip. And we drove around the past 2 days in the pouring rain, and Colton got us some permission on several fields, and this one we're gonna set up on this morning has got 3 toms and bunch of jakes and a bunch of hens, and they've been here the past 2 mornings we've been scouting. So it's really windy. Maybe they keep the bugs off of us, but fingers crossed, we're feeling good.
It's a bearded hen in here too. And we're gonna go spot and stock the rest of the day and try to fill all the tags, so hopefully she's a good one.
Stay tuned for the pile, baby.
Well, we got a gobbler that is strutting with a hen at a field entrance, and we're gonna attempt to enter the field on the other side and sneak through the tree line, and then with the strutter, and hopefully pop pretty close to him and hope he runs on in. So stay tuned, and hopefully I can get it on video. Nice shot. Smoked him. Hey, be ready for others. Hold up.
He saw me.
Well, he got his first Wisco bird. Big old gobbler.
I did what he did.
That's pretty soft. How's his beard? Probably scrapes that, huh? Doing the old crap top.
Pro tip, always by the head, never by the feet.
That is a good tip. Unfortunately, I've done the feet once or twice.
Gotta learn somehow, don't you?
You got a little extra camo on you, buddy.
Yeah, that's why I didn't.
Oh, me too.
That's why I didn't fly off.
Yeah.
Had the homemade ghillie on.
Homemade ghillie. Well, tell us what kind of went down from driving and stuff.
Yes.
Well, first, tell us tell us all that too, but then tell the morning story. I never did that.
So yesterday, well, the past 2 days actually, because we got done in Minnesota early, we spotted these turkeys out here in this field, and Colton's got a rule: if they do it twice, then we'll get permission. And saw them out there for the second time yesterday, got permission, and we were saying this is gonna be our mid-morning spot because I boogered us up this morning, not gonna lie. I was
Well, the other birds also boogered us.
Yeah, they've been coming to the same field 2 mornings in a row and just, did what turkeys do and went the other way. But I'm a fat man, and Colton wanted me to sit on my knees for 3 hours, so I had to stretch. And of course, when I stretched, gobbler popped over the hill at 80 yards and saw me.
From a totally weird direction that they've never came from.
Never heard a turkey there, and never seen them come from that way.
And what did we have come in the decoys?
The infamous bearded hen. She had a rope too. I'm sure Colton's got some footage of that.
Oh, I should have shot her. Then we had another hen come in. And we drove out there out in the neighbor field that they weren't in the past 2 days, but today they decided to.
That's
but
turkeys.
Got 1 out of 6 down, so 5 more to go, I guess. Congrats.
Pulled the loop-de-doo on him. Thank you, Colton.
Yeah. Yeah, he shot it. That decoy I just put there, he shot it from behind
yards.
behind those
Here, you can
birch
see the hay bale I was
trees.
on from right here.
Can you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that hay bale, right? Get your fingy in there. Oh, your finger's huge.
You got to zoom in on times 50.
Well, that hay bale, that black bob, and that's probably, this is all I zoomed out. At least 50, 55.
But he did what he did.
Your Minnesota bird too, though. He was a poke and a half.
Why you should hit the boys up at Apex.
Is that the stuff?
Let the powder burn. The stuff.
Well, now we got to go over the valley and over that hill and find the truck.
Turkey nuggets.
Alright, so we're driving around looking for turkeys midday here in Wisconsin. We had 6 tags and he had already shot 1 tom so far today, and I got 3 tags for me and he has 2 more for him. And we're driving along and we see this, probably one if not the biggest bearded hens as far as lengthwise and thickness of the beard on a hen I've ever seen. And
Very sickly looking, too.
yeah, it looked sick. It was like kind of wobbling, and then its head was like
Had warts on it.
like really white and with red warts. Like we could see this from the road. So we go ask, and I got interrogated. Finally got permission, and I go down, and it is muddy, like sinking past my ankles every step. Go down. I wanted to get past it, then I had to go across this creek to get to the other side, and then I was gonna try and get ahead of it and then have it come down. I originally was gonna try and flush it and shoot it flying with the GoPro on. I don't know if that'd be cool. So I go past it, or get to where I thought I was past it, cut in. Well, this ain't no creek. It's freaking like wider than my truck, about the same length of my truck, and it's rushing and it's deep. It's like over my knees. So I find these rocks, I cross. That should be on the GoPro. And then I go farther towards the field she's in. Well, then I come to the freaking river again, and I'm like, what the heck? So I must have did this hook in it. Finally crossed that. I think it's on GoPro too. I jumped and my one leg almost got soaked.
Holy crap. That is so deep.
the field, so I'm like, alright, perfect, she's gotta be here. So I start sneaking up. Well, I look to my left, there's the road of my truck. Somehow, I had gotten back on the same side, or same field that I came in on, and I didn't have my phone on me, and then there's the truck, so.
Holy crap. Oh, what the heck? I'm so confused.
I'm like, what the heck? And I almost just said screw it. And then I went back in, freaking, this time I didn't have my GoPro on, but I climbed this leaning over tree, got about halfway over the river, and then jumped on the other side, and sneak out, and I couldn't have freaking picked a more perfect spot. She was like right there. But
There she is. That was quite the journey. I should have filmed what I just did.
But there's like a tree right on her right, and there's a bunch of brush on her left, so if I flushed her, there's no way I was going to be able to shoot her flying. So she kind of eventually realized I was there and started walking, so I shot her, and yeah, she's got probably it's probably about inch and a half wide, and probably maybe scraping 9-inch beard, but pretty solid for a hen. And it definitely looked like it has some kind of disease. It's got, yeah, like he said, it's got like red dots all over its head, and then it's like really white head. And I don't know, it had a limp when we seen it originally. So that is bird number 2 out of the 6. So stay tuned, or this will be the wrap of a different video. Was that this one? I knew he was down here. Big old boy.
She worked. Definitely thought he was gone because I got down. I heard Tristan calling because he thought I was over there more, and one flew off into there. So, hey, these freaking eagles right there. We're flying around as we were walking in, making all kinds of noise, and made them all bed down. And we got to that hill, put up the old full shredder, and couldn't see him. Sat there probably 5 minutes, and then I stood up and I saw his pink head down here, which is probably about 100 yards or so, and I was like, dang, I could probably get on him. So I crawled about, no, it was more than that, probably 100, 150. And then when I finally thought I was close enough, I stood up, and I heard him putting, or Tristan putting. One took off, flew into a tree, and then I asked him if it was this one, because I didn't know. And then I came down here and couldn't find him, and then I started clucking with my mouth call here, and he finally took off running, and I shot a little behind him on my first shot, and then I got him kind of lower neck area where it meets the back, and I had to wring his neck, as you saw. But nevertheless, it's another Tom, and oh, he's actually got a pretty solid beard. I thought it was way smaller. Spurs are pretty dinky though, but yeah, 3 to go now. 3 out of the 6 tags are filled. Too bad that didn't work out where they both came running in, but ain't gonna complain, so stay tuned.
Tristan just got himself numero dos. Tell us what happened. I did not get this on film because they're in a terrible spot.
I've seen these turkeys out here in this field 3 days in a row, and called and got permission last night. And a little storm came through. We figured they'd be out there pecking around and shit. And we passed by, and there was what we thought was one gobbler and a couple jakes. So just to make it quick, Colton pulled up and dropped me off so I could slip down. You know, one's quieter than two. And I slipped down through the woods.
Because they were, what, 15 yards off the trees?
Yeah, 100 yards or so. And I'm soaking wet because that grass was crotch high. And I got close to the wood line, and I could hear them. I could hear some hens out there yelping with them. But I could see everything but 5 feet off the woods. I was like, man, I know they're in range, but I can't see them. And I don't know, I just was like, well, they're not here because they're already in the woods. And I took one step out where I could see directly down the tree line, and those 3 male turkeys were sitting there. I was like, oh, well, they're jakes, because they just got rained on. And they started, like, they saw me, kind of. They didn't know what I was. And they did that little number right there, and all 3 of their beards fell out. And I shot the one that was separated because I didn't want to shoot all 3 of them. And that was that.
Another one bites the dust.
Another one bites the dust.
Well, everybody, we had 4 birds, as you should know, and we had 6 tags, and I found this Tom in a field, and I goose hunt there, so I went and talked to him, and talked him into letting us go out there. So I dropped Tristan off, and he goes out there, and it's kind of a hill, and the turkeys are down below it, and the hill is just full of trees, and he just could not see it. And you'll have to hear the rest of the story from him. But anyway, he texted me because I was in the truck just kind of watching, and he said, go find a bird. No matter what, I'm going to be here screwing around with this one till legal's over, whether I get him or not. I said, okay, sounds good. So I go buzzing around looking for birds and go to this one place this place that I thought was a property of an owner that I goose hunt. Well, it was his cousin's, and I have 5 people hunting, and blah blah blah. So I was like, whatever. So I go look for some more. Well, I'm not gonna tell you the story of it yet, and no, I did not have a camera, and you'll understand why once I tell the story. But Tristan has no idea that we filled all of our tags, because he was waiting to hear from me, and so I'm going to pick him up. It is currently 8:55, I believe, and yeah, it's pretty low light out, so he's probably not gonna be too happy about that, but we'll see if his mood changes once he finds out we got all of our birds. So stay tuned to hear my side or my story, and hear Tristan's final bird story as well. So see you back in a second. So basically, I went to the farmer that I told you that goose went on. I think he might own it. You know, where that really hilly field, the corn.
You just described every field out here.
The one that we saw them in late last night, they're in the bigger group up by the trees. It's a big field. I said it'd be really good for reaping them.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, anyway, I called the dude, and he answered today, and he said his cousin owns this. I wouldn't talk to him. Well, he claimed he has a bunch of people that are hunting or whatever. So then I went to the spot where you shot your first one this morning, and I might have saw one hen. That was it. I'm just driving by. Then I went to I went to that island of trees where I saw the toms at the first day we were scouting, you know?
Yeah.
And there's a bunch out there, and I was glassing them, and there's two in the weeds I couldn't tell, but all the ones in the field were hens and jakes. So then I was gonna go to ask, because I was like, screw it, I can sneak up on them. One of them's gotta be a tom in the weeds. So I was going to ask. Well, I drive by this freaking field on the corner, like right off the main road. There's two big toms out there strutting and a bunch of hens. I'm like, what? And they're like mixed in with a flock of geese. I was like, holy crap. So I go knock on the door, nobody answers. Then I go to there's like this little house with a yard, like I probably could have killed one in. So I went and knocked there, nobody answered. I was like, what the heck? So I started driving down the road, and I was gonna go to the place where we talked to the guy, the really nice guy that was saving it for us.
Yeah.
And I started going, and I go a little farther, like literally half mile down this road from where the two toms were in that field that I couldn't get a hold of anyone. And there's this really big freaking tom. Is it you?
Yeah, I don't know about something.
There's one big tom and two jakes and a hen, and I go by and I look on the line and it says public. I'm like, no way. They're on private, but they're going towards the public to roost. You know, it was getting later, so I was like, all right, screw it. So I pull up the driveway to the public parking lot, and they run into the public. So I was like, all right, well, maybe I can figure something out. Well, they're like standing right through the freaking the fence line. So I literally back my truck up behind the tree row, and I start crawling down this freaking fence line, like just straight through weeds. And I couldn't see him, I got like halfway, and then I could see him, and they had already moved in almost to the trees, which is only like 150 yards. So I'm like, screw it, maybe they'll get curious. So I started just belly crawling towards them. I get in range of these things, and there's two jakes and a tom, and the tom was a nice one. I'm like, I'm not gonna shoot one of these jakes. So I was aiming at him forever and could not see a freaking longbeard. So then they came a little closer, and then they started going off. So then I went towards them, and then I saw the hen, and she was at like 20 yards. So and they're about to go over this hill, and they made me by now, because I could have killed them freaking for 20 minutes. So I'm like, screw this. So I run up there and I flush them, and they're both freaking jakes. So I don't know where the tom went. So then I pushed the whole chunk of woods he could have gone in, and I flushed a hen out of there and a deer, and that was it. I'm like, gosh darn it. So then I leave, and it's like a private field, which is where I saw him in, and then there's a house, and then there's another private field, and then there's the field I originally saw the two big toms in. Well, here comes the two big toms across this other private field heading towards the public. I'm like, no way. And that field like touches corner with the public. So I go turn around, freaking haul butt up the driveway, and it's bumpy as crap. I'm like beating the crap out of this thing. Get up there, and they were running towards the roost, like, and they were still a half mile away, but they're not that far, but they're running. So I'm like, there's no time for the strutter. So I grab old Frank here, the quarter strut, and I literally go tearing across the thing. I freaking was so hot I puked. I literally couldn't run anymore, and I freaking run more. Get to the fence. I put the decoy, and you couldn't even see the decoy. Grass was so tall. So I just started calling, and I called for like 5 minutes and nothing. Well, then I looked over, and in the field I saw the original tom I tried to make a move on, and the two jakes. There's a hen cutting across. I'm like, there's no way those things cut through that dude's backyard and are going there. Oh, sure crap. Here comes the toms behind it, and they're like 200 yards away. I'm like, god dang it. So, and I knew, like, there's only one batch of trees on public that they could get on, but it was probably, I don't know, 200, 250 yards wide. So, and it's a pond behind it, and then it comes around, and then it's a hill, and then the fields. So I'm like, all right, second they get behind that bush, I'm running down into this freaking pond side, and I'm going to walk around, I'm going to go sit in those woods. They've got to be roosting there. So as soon as I got behind it, I took off, and like I couldn't freaking run. I was so hot. I was just dripping sweat, and I freaking go through. I found a dead tom, by the way. I don't know if somebody shot it and left it or what, but it had nice hooks. I would have grabbed it, but I was in such a hurry. So I ran behind the hill with the trees, and I'm like, all right, I have no idea where they're gonna roost. It's 200, 250 yards of trees. I was like, all right, they got to go to the biggest, probably oak tree. So I find the biggest trees and I crawl under them, and it's like a slope. And then I get up to the top and I just start easing my way to the field edge. And I get, I don't know, probably 10 yards from where the trees stop and it meets the grass, and I see a turkey. I'm like, oh crap. So I was crawling like a toddler, and then I just slowly laid down. And she was just looking at it. It was a hen. She was just looking at me, and I figured it was the hen that was with the 2 toms. So I'm like, they gotta be behind her. So I just laid down, and then now I'm like completely on my belly, and my barrel's about, I don't know, foot past my face, but my hand's like not on where it needs to be to pull the trigger, like get it up to pull the trigger. It's like on my hand was like where your left hand should be if you're right-handed. And I'm like, wow, I hope the tom doesn't just come out of nowhere. So all of a sudden I start hearing something to my left. Well, here comes this freaking rabbit. And it like almost runs into me. I'm laying like on my belly. I'm like, all right, this turkey has no idea I'm a human. If that rabbit's right there, he's definitely gonna think he saw that rabbit move. The rabbit like literally almost ran over my feet. I was like, that was kind of cool. Well, then I'm watching at this hen, and I'm like, there's like 2 little bush trees, like little oak trees, one on each side of me, and I'm right in the middle. And I'm like, God, I need to get to one of these. So I was gonna slowly go to the right, and right when I like moved about 6 inches, and right when I stopped moving, I heard something to my left again, like right where that rabbit originally came from. So I look over. Here comes this freaking hen. This thing is at like 5 yards walking down the freaking edge. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna get busted. A different hen, like this thing came out of nowhere. So I'm laying, I just slowly put my face like down on the ground and just didn't even move, and I heard it, and it went, and then it flew up into the tree. And it was still, there's probably 10 minutes left illegal. And he flies up in the tree, and then I see the other hen, because I wasn't obviously looking during that. So the other hen that originally I thought caught me was at about 40 yards coming front right. And there's no toms. I'm like, what the heck? So I'm like, they gotta be coming. There's no way they dipped. And one of these toms like had a big beard, way bigger than the other one. So I was gonna try and shoot that one. So I'm laying there. Well, all of a sudden I just catch a glimpse of the left side, and they're coming right where that left hen came, like 5 feet off the trees. And I'm laying there. My hand, I'm not in position to shoot. Like I need to move my gun probably a foot forward to shoot in like a sniper position. So I was like, oh my God. And the big one was, I didn't know which one was the big one, but the big one was in full strut. Like I can hear his freaking wings drag, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so bad. I'm like, I'm gonna wait until I can see which one's the big one, and then I'm just gonna kneel up and try and shoot him before he flies too far. Well, freaking, I don't even know where this hen came from. One of the hens that went to my right came out, and I don't know what she all of a sudden didn't like, because I literally never moved, but she started putting, and then the tom went out of strut, and I'm like, I caught a glimpse of the strutter's beard, and I was like, I think it's that one. And then they were starting to scoot out, and I'm like, all right, screw it. So I kneeled up, and he freaking goes to run to take off, and I shot him on mid-run, freaking rolled him. I was like, heck yeah. And I go out there, it was the big one. I was like, oh my God, that was probably the most work I've ever done for a tom. It's a nice one. He's probably got 11 or 12 inch beard, and he's got at least 1.25 inch spurs. And he's heavy, like heavy. Yeah, now your turn, buddy boy.
Where he came from.
Yeah.
And that show didn't work. He didn't give up. Crud. I went back up the bluff, walked down, and got 100 yards in front of him because I didn't want to spook him, because it was so thick on that hillside. And I got down there, and I looked, and I saw him out there, and I tried to do it on my own next. He's probably like 170. Mm-hmm. And he was strutting away from me, and I called, and he answered me 2 or 3 times, and it turned him straight around. Him and the hens both started walking right towards me, and he corralled them all the way to like 80, and they came up past me to my left, and he was just still out there at like 80. I was like, oh no. I said, they're gonna fly, they're gonna walk back there and fly up. He's gonna fly up down here on this point. And I didn't call again because everything was too close.
How close were the hens?
10 steps.
Jeez.
And he just went back in the strut. He was pecking around out there. He went back in the strut 5 yards off the tree line and walked right up to me. I mean, 10 yards maybe.
Just rolled him.
And the hens, I guess I don't know if they could hear me breathing or what. They were just so close, and they putted once, and he stuck his head up, and I rolled him.
that, buddy. 6 in one day. Got down to the wire, but we got her done.
Yep. Crunch down.
Oh, we got some good birds too.
Got a lot of meat to play.
What do they got to do if they like the video?
Huh?
What do they do if they like the video?
Like and subscribe, baby.